Hello and welcome to Isolocity's quick product tour. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a corrective action report. This can be done by clicking on CAPA in the left sidebar, followed by corrective actions. Corrective and preventative action is a process taken to eliminate causes of nonconformities and other undesirable situations. It is a set of actions required for GMP purposes to rectify an issue that must be addressed. Since corrective actions are very important, they consist of two parts. 1. Identify the issue and the immediate action taken. 2. Discover the root cause to ensure this issue does not happen again in the future. Isolocity has its own corrective action module with everything you need to create a corrective action report. So to illustrate this example, let's say there is a contaminated batch of cannabis that has bacterial growth occurring and could be harmful to the consumer. So we're going to start by clicking Create Corrective Action Report. Before we start filling out the report, there are a couple of things that I do want to point out. The first one being that this is a very customizable form. So by hovering over most of the text, a small pencil will appear, and by clicking on that, you can edit the names of the headings. So this is a great tool to use if you already have a paper form for corrective actions and you want to mirror it on Isolocity. The next thing I want to point out is this little gear icon. By clicking on it, it will open up the corrective actions settings. So you do have the ability to rename the menu and select a new icon. There's also the ability to turn on and off some settings based on your business's needs. Furthermore, you can hide certain sections of the report or make specific sections required. And lastly, you have the ability to add in helper text here. So this could be a part of your SOP or further explanation on how you want a specific section of the report filled out. So the user will see these little blue eyes, and by hovering over it, that's where you'll see the helper text. So it's a great way to ensure your users are filling out the form according to your procedures. Let's go ahead and start filling out this corrective action report. We're going to start by entering the job number and the batch number associated with the contaminated cannabis. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and create the report so it's saved within the database. The next section is owners and subscribers, so you can add as many as you would like. Owners are able to edit the document, whereas subscribers are only able to view the document. Next is the source type and disposition section. So the source is going to be internal, and the type is going to be non-conformance. So there are some types already populated within the database, and you have also the ability to create your own. So at this point, I'm going to save the report. It's just best practice to save as you fill it out. So the next section is the description section, where I'll select the error code. So in this case, it's contamination. These error codes were previously populated in the error code module. So there is a video on that for you to take a look at if you haven't already. Next, you would enter the date completed and the assignee. After that, you would fill in the description. So in this case, it's that we found bacterial growth. And then you would also enter the immediate action. So for example, we isolated the batch from the rest of the facility. Next, you can add any files associated to this corrective action here. The next section is the root cause analysis. So you would enter the date in which this occurred, as well as a description. So we have two options for the root cause, and that's a 5 why analysis or a fishbone analysis. So in this example, we're going to use the 5 why analysis, which is basically asking yourself why 5 times to see if you can get to the root cause of the problem. So our first why would be that bacteria contaminated the crop. And this could be because bacteria was let into the facility. So why was it let into the facility? Could have been through a staff member's cell phone. And why could that be? Because we check for proper attire and sanitation, but we don't check if the cell phone is on hand before going into the growing area. And why is that? Because there's no policy or procedure. You would then enter the conclusion, which would be to update our SOP to include cell phones. And then you would authorize this section with your e-signature. So this will stamp it with the date and time in which it was approved. So the next section is the preventative action section. So you can click to add a preventative action. It will assign a due date. You can edit this by clicking on the box. And again, you would just add a description. So in this case, it's the SOP changes and retraining. So you can add as many preventative actions as needed. The next section is for implementation plan, and this would be to send an action item to a specific individual if they have to do something pertaining to this report. And the next section is control system updates. So we're going to go ahead and assign SOP updates to John. And we're also going to add training record updates to John as well. So these are the two action items he'll receive in his dashboard. So the next section is for verification action, where you will select whether or not the preventative action was effective. So we're going to say yes. You would then enter the due date and push complete. Again, you'll be asked for your e-signature to authorize this line. You do also have the ability to add a description here. So you could say that the preventative action was successful, everybody was retrained, the SOP was updated, and now you cannot bring your cell phone into the grow area, for example. And lastly, we have processes affected. So the cost of quality that was affected, for example, $15,000. And you can also add in any other processes that were affected by this. So now I'm going to save. And once the report is finished, you would save and close. So now the corrective action report status is changed to close. If I come back here to the list of corrective actions, you can see all the corrective actions within the database and search by keyword or date range. There's a couple of other things you have here. So on the right side, you can see graphs related to your corrective actions, and you can also download some CSV reports on overdue preventative actions, overdue verification actions, or just all your corrective action reports. So that's how you create a corrective action within Isolocity. Thank you.